Hey guys, I'm sure many of you can relate. When, as Gen Xers, we were raised to be independent and to not create a fuss and to be the responsible one. Do what you're told is what we were taught. But here's the one thing. As we become adults, we take on these patterns that we were taught to us as kids, and we learn to comply, not ask questions. We also learn to not be able to say no, even though it makes us unhappy. Now, picture this. Your mom or your dad calls you one night, and they get on the phone. They say, hey, we need you to do something for us right now. And you might have had this busy day. You might have had a busy day at work. Maybe you had a busy day with kids, kids that need to be driven to their baseball games. Or maybe you might have chores around the house that need to be done. And suddenly this list starts to pile up in your head, and you're thinking to yourself, well, how am I going to take care of this with all these obligations in the background? But you're unable to say no to your mom and dad. And if you do say no, you're going to be the difficult one and the one that has disappointed them. And you're going to get this guilt trip that's going to go on and on and on. And you really don't want to hear it. And so as a result, you say yes, but now you're feeling burnt out. You're feeling burnt out from being a caregiver and with no end in sight. And you grow more resentful because even though you say yes, there are times that maybe your parent does not appreciate what you're doing. I know many of you in the comments have said that. And perhaps maybe by it's not easy being a caregiver because all of a sudden all the goals and dreams that you had for getting ready for retirement or your second chapter of your life gets delayed. The money that you've saved up for retirement gets drained through caretaking. And the worst part of all this is maybe you might get to 75 and realize that all the years that you dreamed about enjoying in the second chapter of your life, your travel, to do the things that you want, have all been wasted away because you never had a chance to do them. So in today's video, I want to talk about why us Gen Xers are unable to say no to our aging parents and how recognizing these patterns that control us can help us establish more healthy boundaries. Now, the first one is saying no got wired into us as kids. So I want you to understand that because you were taught to not be difficult and not to ask questions. So when you become an adult, you become a people pleaser. You start seeking approval because that's what you always want from your parents. And after 40 years, you're still wired to behave that way. And the second thing is we were handed an invisible contract that we were going to take care of our parents as they got older. And you were taught that it was your obligation to take care of them. And for many of us, I think the sad part of us Gen Xers is that you're faced with taking care of this parent or these aging parents who are not there for you emotionally when you need them when you're younger. Some of them were for you and some were not. So in that case, you feel like, I guess, how should I say, can become a little bit more resentful, right? Because in my experience, as an Asian kid, especially in Chinese cultures, we were taught from a young age to take care of our parents. And I know for myself that I was taught from a young age, but I was told I was selfish if I wanted to do other things that didn't involve caretaking, and it was almost guilted into me. I remember my dad's friends would say, "Hey, you're so lucky you have 4 kids who can take care of you in old age." And my dad would look at me and say, "Oh, forget about him. He's not going to take care of us." And I have to say, as a young kid, it quite hurt, right? Thinking that I was the one that didn't want to take care of my parents. And so it was always seen as a responsibility. But when I got older, my wife and I talked about this, and we said that if we had kids, we wouldn't want to put that burden on them. And for myself and my wife, we always, even though we don't have kids, we set aside some funds for long-term care when we get older. And I think the third thing that can make it difficult is love versus obligation. I think when you take care of aging parents and it feels like an obligation, there is no choice in the matter. And I think a lot of us would feel differently about it if there was love between the child and the parent. And I know for many of you in the comments section, you have a very estranged relationship with your parents, some of you. And I know for myself that it's much easier now to do things for my parents than it was probably about 15 years ago when our relationship wasn't so good. So it does make a huge difference. And if you can find some understanding between the two of you, I think that'll go a long way on making the caretaking a lot easier and less, I guess, how should I say, feeling less of a burden, right? And the fourth thing about understanding the patterns that why you say no is now you can start to recognize it and start to get your life back by establishing some form of healthy boundaries, because a hard no to your parent can make the relationship a lot more tense. Whereas if you set a boundary with a reason, for example, let me check my schedule and get back to you. That was one of the ones I used a while back, and it worked very well. Or say I can do X, but I cannot do Y as a conditional yes. So all these things, really help establish and help train my parents to understand that, hey, I have a life too, and that needs to be taken care of before yours. So they start to understand that. Sometimes they're not always in agreement, but for the most part, it start to get them thinking a little bit differently, because now they understand that, hey, you know what, they're grown-ups now, and they try not to I said, burden us with too much, right? But I mean, they still call me because I'm the oldest one, and they know I'll get things taken care of. But that's okay, because like I said, I have a good relationship with them now, and I don't have any problems with it. So some of you out there who are still struggling with a relationship, it might be a little bit different, and but I can only say what's has worked for me and share my experience. So the fifth one, the last one, is why is it so important to start setting boundaries with your aging parents today? And the thing is, I want you to fast forward 5 years. And if you keep saying yes all the time, you're going to postpone your plans, and you're going to continue to have resentment. And because you're never going to get those years back. And especially now that many of us are, entering our 50s or even well into our 50s now. So, we're not going to have that much healthy years left to enjoy. But here's the flip side. You can still reclaim a portion of your life again. My wife, for example, she came to me and said that she was burning out from caretaking. So we hired some extra help to give her a break and allow her to travel a little bit. She still can't go away for more than a week, but at least she gets a break because she's got a very stressful job, and she felt like she was, I guess, being overwhelmed. So now it's given a little bit of break. She's a lot happier, and the caretaking is a lot more manageable. So I want to know what is the hardest part of all this. What is the hardest part of giving yourself permission to say no with conditions? I want to know from you guys, what's the thing that your parent asks, how should I say? What's the one thing your parent asks for that you've never been able to say no to? drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to share your story because other people in the group probably gain value from it as well and looking to hear from you. So if you like this video topic today and you found it helpful and you like the content on this channel, please feel free to like, share, or subscribe. And I'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye for now.